My grandfather once told me of the age of Augustus, the emperor who found Rome a city of brick and left it one of marble. Guided by his virtue and prudence, Augustus's empire reached new bounds, a vast constellation of cities spanning the Mediterranean and beyond. Its prosperity and happiness were the envy of an otherwise bitter, cruel world. 7 decades, 10 emperors and countless civil wars later, that golden age is a distant memory. Marred by corruption, the constellation that once lit the world is now little more than a faint and fraudulent zodiac. Yet there are those among us who still believe in Rome. In my youth, I followed my father's and grandfather's footsteps into the legions. 20 years later, I am Marcus Ulpius Traianus, commander of the 7th Legion and a veteran of Emperor Domitian's northern wars. The aristocrats of the Senate despise Domitian for his unwillingness to bend to their whims, but he treats his legions well. Now, he calls on us to quash the rebellion of one Saturninus, a provincial governor styling himself emperor. A lifelong military man, I know all too well that soldiers' blood is the currency of rich men's power plays. But when Rome calls, I must go. I will march north to see that this civil war ends before it has even begun.
Treachery and madness threaten Rome. Can I count on you to save her, Trajan? These lands are awash with rebel scum. Clean them out and rally the nearby legions to crush this traitor!
Rocket.
I'm under attack! Send help to parry this assault, quickly!
I can. Rocket. One. Erectus.
Again?
You are a tyrant and a madman, Domitian. I am here to end your unjust reign. Our emperor needs us. Pack your things and march on the double.
Rocket. One.
Well done. I see that you are a man to be counted upon, Trajan. I'm under attack! Send help to parry this assault, quickly! Trajan, kindly send those rebels' heads my way. I shall use them to decorate my camp.
Where are my Germanic allies? Surely the Rhine ice could not have thawed in January.
If only I knew how it felt to have false friends.
We Romans say that fortune favors the bold. But how does it decide between two valiant men? The question puzzled me as my men dragged Saturninus before our merciless emperor. I wonder what his last thoughts were. Did he regret not anticipating that my legions would reach the front in time? Did he curse fortune for the unprecedented January thaw that prevented his German allies from crossing the Rhine? It matters not. The answer died with him. But our emperor's anger endured. From the day of his coronation, Domitian had been a firm and bold ruler. But the Senate despised this friend of the legionary and the commoner. When Domitian's latent paranoia began to consume him, his wrath engulfed the empire like a raging wildfire. Countless arrests followed in the wake of the war. Senators who had opposed him were executed like common criminals. When the court could bear it no more, the emperor was assassinated. Domitian's successor was a good man, but a poor ruler. Nevertheless, he shared my loyalty to Rome and sought to reverse the damage that Domitian's folly had done. With no sons to pass the mantle to, Emperor Nerva named me as his heir before striding on into the afterlife after 2 short years on the throne. The immense honor of steering the might of Rome is matched only by the weight of its responsibility. I am a general, not a senator. My mind is built for the straightforwardness of the battlefield, not the intricacies of politics. I can, and I must, learn to be a politician. But in the meanwhile, I should play to my strengths. The divided Roman people need a common enemy, and I will give them that. North of the Danube lies Dacia, a barbarous kingdom, but one also rich in gold and silver. Its wily king Decabalus once played Domitian for a fool, negotiating an unfavorable treaty that tarnished Roman imperial repute. My loyal cousin, Hadrian, will join me on this campaign and learn from my example. I will unite the Roman people, take vengeance on a haughty foe, and enrich our struggling economy all in one fell swoop.
Emperor! I will hold the line in the east, but you must rob the enemy's will to fight before I am overwhelmed. Keep our armies supplied with loot, and my technicians will improve our weaponry. Receive my share of the loot. We will put it towards the war effort.
Rocket. Erectus. Abadactus.
We can use these buildings to train more soldiers.
Rocket. I can.
Domitian tried to defeat me once before. Let us see if you are up to the task. can use these buildings to train more soldiers. Logistics are the key to victory, Emperor. Why field 5 legions when we can field 10? We can use these buildings to train more soldiers.
I can.
We can use these buildings to train more soldiers. With these ships, we can send men to assist our allies. We can use these buildings to train more soldiers.
I have ignored the Western Front for too long. Prepare to face my wrath, Trajan. I have received my share of the loot. We will put it towards the war effort.
So Romans are still the pillagers that they have always been. I will personally hew your throat with my blade. The enemy is at our gates. Hold the fortress with your lives and cover my retreat.
Dacia. Pyrrhus is nowhere to be found. We have captured his sister in his fortress. Now he will surely surrender.
Peace between Dacia and Rome was the story of one man's panic and another's bluff. As Decapulus saw my legions thrust into his realm and capture his sister, he must have feared that the end was near. Yet my imperious tone and stern demands during the negotiations were a mere facade. With only a few legions on the front, I knew in my heart that I lacked the strength to overthrow Decapulus today. But he did not. For now, the conman has been beaten at his own game. But I know better than to trust a cornered wolf. As we march home after a draining campaign, I have tasked my best. A tiger does not change its stripes. No sooner was I home than the Dacian king began to plot against me, his rightful overlord. I bided my time, preparing my forces and learning the other side of rulership. Being a friend to the Senate and the people of Rome. Yet when news spread of a hostile alliance beyond the Danube, I kept a watchful eye on Dacia. And when my guards caught would-be assassins sent forth by the Dacian king, I knew to expect war at any moment. This campaign will be different from the last. The Dacians know they cannot face Hadrian and I in the field, so they will hide in their mountain fortresses, hoping for us to tire and leave. Amateurs speak of strategy and tactics, while professionals look to logistics. Dacia will not be conquered by a decisive battle. It will be conquered because Hadrian and I can sustain 14 legions and strip the Dacian forces of their supplies. Decapulus, my false friend. Heads will roll.
This foul snake shall slither north of the Danube no more. Vengeance and Dacia shall be ours!
Rocket.
The Dacian fortress is formidable, but the aqueducts supplying it are not. Shall we parch our enemies a little?
Decapulus' treasure is the stuff of legend. We should find it and bankrupt the wily king.
Umbus. Umbus.
Umbus. Umbus.
My army approaches from the north. Surrender now, or meet your doom, Romans. I must escape the city before the legions take me to Rome in chains.
Alamas.
Let us do this the old way. Single combat. You against me.
The Emperor is too good for you, Dacian swine! Dacian king has taken his own life. His head will be paraded during your triumph in Rome.
To the onlookers that had gathered, I appeared to take my success modestly, acting like I had been there before. But inside, my heart swelled with pride as I rode through the gates of Rome in triumph. To be loved by one is gratifying enough. To be loved by thousands is indescribable. The mob roared as Decabulus's head was thrown to the dogs, commencing over 100 days of celebratory festivals and gladiatorial games. Senators greeted me with awe and respect that I knew for once to be genuine. Men of all ranks chanted my name. The vast Dacian treasure and its plentiful gold mines will offer riches beyond Rome's wildest dreams. My mind races with thoughts of the greatness that I, and more importantly, Rome, can achieve with such wealth. Still, the age-old maxim echoes through my head. Look behind you. Remember, you are just a man.
Armenia will fall before your vast armies, Emperor. Then we shall crush Parthia together.
Armenia is ours now! I will deal with you Romans soon! We must be cautious. The mountainous Armenian landscape houses many dangers.
Take these supplies, Romans. Your continued success brings joy to my heart.
Another Roman army marching through the arid plains. We know well what to do with that. We are not the first to tread this path. I once heard of a Greek who walked the opposite way 5 centuries ago, but I cannot recall his name. Beyond this crossing lies Parthia. Shall we attack now, or finish Armenia and join forces with Hadrian?
We are not too dissimilar, Trajan. Were you not Roman, and I not Parthian? We may have been friends. But fate delights in setting ambitious men at each other's throats.
Honez. Got it.
This Parthian army is beaten. Shall we push further east?
Dacia is ours once more. Perhaps it will benefit from some firmer administration. That old arrangement with Parthian never worked anyway. Now Armenia will be your newest province.
Despite my hostility towards Parthia, it pains me to fight Osros. His skill as a commander would be the envy of any leader. Yet the discord tormenting his realm overshadows his talents. As he struggles in vain to stave off my invasion, he does so with one hand tied behind his back. I see much of myself in him, and he offers a haunting glimpse into an alternate reality where I was born in the wrong place at the wrong time. Seizing Armenia was an ambitious move. One could argue that it was an overstep, but did I not do the same from another point of view when I took Dacia and Nabatea? I am no warmonger, and I have never loved it. The pages of history are littered with brilliant victors and foolish losers. But foolish victors and brilliant losers are in much more exclusive company. I am not so arrogant as to call myself brilliant. Others can do that for me, if they deem it just. But I am no fool, and my instincts have been sharpened by decades of fighting. When a shark smells blood in the water, it attacks mercilessly. When news reached me of the civil war in Parthia, I resolved to do the same. A pang of pity for Osros struck me as I recalled the strife of my youth. But now that fortune has given me a chance to put a decisive end to an age-old rivalry, I cannot hesitate. Rome knows 2 great seas today, but tomorrow it will know a 3rd. We will seize Ctesiphon, the jewel of Parthia, and stride onwards in the footsteps of Alexander until my legions glimpse the ocean. If I succeed, I hope that history will remember Osros as a brilliant loser. But how will I be remembered? How will Hadrian? How will Rome?
I will lead my forces down the Tigris, Emperor.
Rot.
We shall meet by the sea.
Pluribus. Somus.
We are deep in enemy territory and must seize a forward base from the Parthians.
Erect. Erect.
This Parthian town is ours. We can set up camp here, but we will have to seize more towns to access more types of weaponry.
Zeni!
Parthian arrows have felled many a Roman. Now we will use archers of our own. Our newest acquisition specializes in cavalry. Let us feed our enemies their own medicine.
Faced arrow for the Romans. Now the full might of Parthia descends upon you.
This port is the key to Eastern trade. We should oust the Parthians and enrich ourselves.
Let us see how the Parthians fare against my new auxiliary bowmen!
Soon we will experience the riches of India.
Forward, then! Flood the Parthian capital and deliver our emperor victory!
Testing or dooming me. Roman legions are no match for my heavy cavalry.
The Parthian capital is yours. I stand over to the hill. Second Alexander.
Parents will tell children of the age of Trajan, the emperor who found Rome a city of marble and left it one of gold. Ironic, then, that I have no children of my own to tell this tale. I have a loving wife, but in truth, Rome herself has always been the love of my life. Perhaps the gods, in their infinite wisdom, deemed the care of children too much for a man who chose an entire empire as his family. Perhaps, as I lie on my deathbed, they are indirectly showing me the way. For years, Rome suffered under the yoke of cruel emperors, with no merit other than their bloodline. Like Nerva, I will now choose my successor by merit. And what better choice than Hadrian? The loyal man who walked in my footsteps, learned from my example, and did it all without a single treacherous thought. The afterlife is timeless, immaterial, and boundless. I gaze towards the men tending my funeral pyre and hear them now call me a god. I look out over the forum that I built, the carved column that tells my story, and the city that is an empire's beating heart. I smile, knowing that I have left these people a better Rome than the one that I found. Yet, at the same time, doubt and dread gnaw at me. Now that I have raised the bar, others will try and match it. And their vain ambition, conceit, and impossible expectations could drag Rome towards the same familiar decline from which I rescued it. Was I Rome's savior? Or its doom?
When titans roam the stage of the world, when the heirs of Alexander the Great fight over who will succeed the greatest conqueror there ever was. My friend and master often asks me this question, and I always give him the same answer. Searching for greatness in this way is folly. One can only become content by refusing to give in to such desires. Pyrrhus, of course, politely calls me an idiot when I say this, if not by that exact word. For him, carving a legacy is the one thing that truly gives life meaning. He says, a man must fight unrelentingly to become stronger than all others, until he finds himself alone on the throne of the world, just as Alexander did. To which I politely reply that he is an idiot, if not by that exact word. Pyrrhus was born on the edge of the thunderous storm that is Greek politics. At a young age, he was placed on the throne of Epirus, small mountain kingdom on the fringe of the civilized world. But before he could get used to how the crown felt upon his head, it was ripped away. The Epirots rose up in rebellion against their young monarch and installed a man named Neoptolemus on the throne. He was a murderous, small-minded man who would sell his own mother for another province to rule. In other words, he was just a sort of unremarkable ruler that the people desired. Landless and crownless, Pyrrhus was forced to escape to the east. Here he joined the court of his brother-in-law, Demetrius, whose father Antigonus was quickly becoming the most powerful of Alexander's successors. Antigonus's growing power alarmed the others. From all over Alexander's broken empire, they now joined forces against him. The two great armies met near the town of Ipsus, in the heart of Antigonus's realm. Serving as one of Demetrius's commanders, Pyrrhus finally found a chance to test his mettle.